Hi, good evening, everyone. Um, Welcome to the sixth masterclass of the India Forum for NbS Masterclass series on transforming cities with nature, key lessons from Tebet Eco Park. I'm Shora and I'll be the moderator for today's session. Before we dive in and as participants are joining in, I'd like to introduce the India Forum for Nature-Based Solutions. The forum is a coalition of research, practice, and finance organizations committed to scaling up the adoption of NBS to shape climate resilient cities and communities in India. Through knowledge sharing and discussions like this masterclass series, we are aiming to equip stakeholders with practical strategies and insights to implement NBS effectively in Indian cities. As our cities are facing escalating climate challenges such as flooding, air pollution, and the pressures of dense urbanization, Jakarta's Tibet Eco Park offers an inspiring example of how nature based solutions can address these challenges effectively. Through thoughtful design, ecological restoration, and inclusive planning, the park has transformed a once neglected area into a thriving urban oasis. Today, we'll delve into the journey of Tibet Eco Park, learning about its design, challenges, funding mechanisms, and long term sustainability. And also, our speakers today will be sharing lessons learned from the perspectives of both the government authority and through the lens of the practitioner involved in the first hand implementation of the project. Now, let me introduce our speakers. Our first speaker today is Bob Hendrianto, a dedicated civil servant with the Parks and Forest Agency of the Jakarta Provincial Government. Bob has been instrumental in multiple park revitalization projects, including the Tibet Eco Park. His experience in city scale planning and implementation makes him a key voice in understanding the governmental and policy aspects of such transformation. Our next speaker is Anton Siura, a landscape architect and a principal of Siura Studio. Anton has played a pivotal role in urban design and landscape architecture across Singapore, Indonesia, and beyond. His expertise lies in integrating natural assets with cultural contexts, ensuring urban spaces are not just functional but also sustainable and inclusive. Welcome, Anton and Bob. It's a pleasure to have you both here. Before we begin, a few housekeeping notes. We will be taking up questions post the presentation of our speakers, so please add your questions in the Q&A section. In the meantime, the session is also being recorded for future reference. Now I'll hand it over to Bob to share the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Siura. I try to share my presentation. You can see my screen?
Yes, your screen is visible, Bob.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's good. Okay. Full screen. Good evening for all participants. I'm very honored to be here. Thanks for having me on this masterclass. I will present urban park revitalization through non-government budget mechanisms. Sorry. Back, first slide. Okay. We started, I want to share about Jakarta recent baseline. Main land area of Jakarta is 664.78 square kilometers. It's almost the same as Seoul, the capital city of South Korea. And then Jakarta has a population almost 10 million. Compared with Seoul is 10 million. Then Jakarta has satellite cities consisting of Bogor, Depok, Tangerang, and Bekasi, surrounding cities of Jakarta. We call it Great Jakarta. the population is 30 million. And as you know, Jakarta contribute to the national economy is 16%, and then Great Jakarta contribute to the national economy is 22%. And then in terms of land use, half of Jakarta for housing, 50%, and rest are public services, office, industrial, and others. Sadly, Jakarta still has a slum area. The number is 9.23%. And then green open space, the number still a small number is 5.35%. Is still far below according to law, because every city in Jakarta required to be 30% the green open space, compared with Seoul already has 28%. And then mass transportation user, the number is still small, is 10.3%, because mostly Jakarta citizens still use a private car. Is 81.50%. The mass transportation lines consisting of MRT, LRT, and BRT. But no, Jakarta is on progress to develop this line. And then clean water pipe cover 65% of Jakarta area. The rest area groundwater usage. And then we have an annual flooding issues, 200 to 300 neighborhood units affected by flood per year. And then almost half Jakarta are below sea levels, because first, globally rise sea level, and secondly, land subsidence. Land subsidence caused by first, active tectonic process, and then secondly, over exploitation of groundwater. And then Jakarta has poor air quality. These are our problems now. And then Jakarta leads global city, but we have some of strategy issues: traffic and high cost economy, inefficient mobility, squatter and sprawling, environmental problems, and low environmental quality. Urban heat island map, you can see that yellow to orange colors or more cover all our province. And you know, temperature globally increase in past 100 years, increased 0.9 degrees Celsius, but Jakarta already increased 1 degree Celsius. This is our problematic issues. So we are taking action to reform our city planning. Now we focus on digital oriented development, self-sufficient neighborhood, and then transit-oriented development. We have a target in 2045. We have 70% population lives in transit point. And then a government mission, regenerate resilient and sustainability city. There are some important things. First, environmental quality improvement using nature-based solutions, as our topic today, provides sustainable and resilient infrastructure, and placing the communities and other stakeholders collaboration, but not domination, as key actors. Then infrastructure development through collaboration between government and private sector as a creative financing to build public infrastructure assets. This is we have some alternative funding. One of them is incentive and disincentive scheme. First, compensate in exceeding building floor coefficient regulation. Secondly, obligation in financing public housing through conversion. And lastly, infrastructure development in TOD, transit-oriented development. This is simulation. One of option is compensate from exceeding floor level. We made a policy about the legal basis, and then the simulation. For example, of the 5 stories, then can increase to 8 stories. The gap exceeding floor level, we compensate to be public infrastructure asset. We did it at Tebet Eco Park already. Tebet Eco Park, and then what government want? Tebet Park revitalization. We have some of key indicators. First, natural river environment and environmental improvement, inclusive visitor, connectivity between North and South Park because this side divided by road, and then community activation. The Eco Park concept is connecting. We have vision connecting people with nature. The focus on nature-based solution. And then Binsan Park as a benchmark of the Eco Park. I still remember when I communicated with Anton to invite our leaders, to invite at of our agency to visit some strategic project in Singapore. And then Anton guided our leader, our agency to visit Binsan Park, Jurong Park, and so on, strategic project in Singapore, very close with context of Tebet Eco Park. Mechanisms, Tebet Eco Park, we use 2 schemes. First, a conversion of obligation in public housing scheme. The name of private companies is PT Award Global Infinity, PT Perkasa International Mandiri. And then secondly, compensate in exceeding building floor coefficient regulation. This is the name of company. Construction cost was about $5.7 million US. Construction time very short because we just have 7 months for planning and then start construction. This project completion for 1 year and then open to public April 2022. You can see that this diagram, Tebet Eco Park visitor. You just focus the May 2022. Tebet Eco Park had 1 day 60 visitors. This is not good for Tebet Eco Park neighborhood. So we make a strategic, we make a policy to treat low emission zone at Tebet Eco Park neighborhood, and then the visitors are back to normal. And then Tebet Eco Park, one of our project for pilot project land value capture because generate economic impact, not just Tebet Eco Park neighborhood, but also Jakarta generally. And then secondly, environmental improvement. We invite by biodiversity and increase the flood storage capacity. And then social cohesion between our citizens. And then when you have networks, you will have the community. The community have people. So the community make Tebet Eco Park more livable and sustainable. And then the magic can happen. This you can see that Tebet Eco Park now get a lot of awards from other countries. Our communities is the activity, the observer, dog walker, pet lover, and bird watcher, and so on. And there's one of sample of product collaboration between Ayoka Taman community with Jakarta Transport Discussion Forum to provide public transportation map and guide to how the visitor part in Jakarta with public transportation. And then accelerating transformation through redefining Jakarta city response to pandemic issues, and then lesson learned of the Eco Park, change of activity pattern, change of mobility pattern, change of the interaction pattern, and then accelerating digitalization. Now Jakarta have a one-stop platform, so the citizen can report regarding public service quality, and then government will respond as soon as possible. Thanks for my short presentation. The floor I give you Sharia. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bob, for walking us through the background of the project. Now I over to Anton to share more about the design of the park as well.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Bob and Sauria. So I'm going to share the Tebet Eco Park from design perspective. Okay, I think like what Pak Bob has mentioned, this project will not be completed or accomplished without the great vision from the government of Jakarta and also with the support from private sectors. So this is really example of how a holistic integration of multi-agency, private and publics, and also strong leadership and also good funds from the private sector and collaboration with the government that can make this project realized. And we were just being fortunate to be selected as the consultant to lead these projects. And the first one with a nature-based solution for the large-scale project in Jakarta. So as a context, as you can see, this is the island of Jakarta from the top views from the Google Earth. And as you can see, most of the area is brown colors, right? We almost don't have any more green space. And green space, public park is a luxury in the high density of Jakarta city. Among that, we have a problem of sea level rise and also frequent flooding due to the intense weather change. And if we zoom in, Tebet Eco Park is located in the just right in the middle of the Jakarta, and this area is surrounded by a very dense neighborhood residential area with a size of 7.3 hectares. It's been there for many decades. Its total area is 7.3 hectare, 73,000 square meter, and the place is designated as the Forest City Park. Yeah, so this area cannot be redeveloped by the private sector to anything. It has to be kept as the park. And as the context, the existing park has a lot of mature trees, right? And it's divided by two roads and flanked by, surrounded by perimeter roads with a lot of residential area. This is my first time visiting the park in 2019 November's when I was shown to the park. What can we do for this about this, right? What we see is um, a very dirty canals with a lot of mosquito, a lot of, it used to be a dumping for the garbage area, garbage dumping sites. And people are still using the park for jogging, but in terms of circulation, they have a lot of problem. So when we see the park, this is the pre-construction time when we come to the site again. So the park has been there and need to be upgraded, as Pak Bob said. The government give a very strong guideline, right? It has to be beautify the canals, activate the community space, bring in more energy into the park, retain the trees as much as possible. As you can see, the park has been here for many decades and the trees are mature. And I believe this park is existed in many other big developing city in India, Jakarta, or many big city. We have this kind of a similar park, right? That has been there, used by the community. The question is how can we unlock the potential to make it into a more functional park, regenerating the parks to be useful not just for human but also for biodiversity. So, and this is how it looks in 15 months after our first site visits. When it was open, almost 60,000 people come visit the park, and we were surprised. Everyone surprised, including Pak Bob and myself. Like we didn't design the park for more than 20,000 people, right? And this one come in one day and continues every weekend, every days. People are coming, flooding the parks, and it shows that the people of Jakarta really need this kind of space. They need a public space, right? Because a good public space they can use for the facilities and other things because it's been there for many decades. So the question is really in just 15 months since the project design inception and very short construction, 8 months construction, and we were able to transform that degraded parks into something that is very vibrant and embraced by not just local community, but the entire Indonesia. Use this park as a benchmark example on how can we do more this kind of parks, a park that is resilience, create more social inclusivity space for children, elderly, and many other users. How did we accomplish this? I'm going to share the philosophy, design, the construction process until what is the impact at the moment. Yeah. So as you can see, the park capturing the stormwater catchment about 3.6 kilometers that is coming through the south of Jakarta and many other residential neighborhood housing come into these 6-meter canals. And this canal is connected to the Sungai Ciliwung, the big rivers. And we have 4 problems. The first is the garbage dumping site. The second is the canal is a straight canal with a lot of pollutants, and the roads that separating the 2 parks. And also we have a city forest park that a lot of trees that is maintained by the forestry department. So we deal with 5 agencies: the road and transport, water resource agency, environmental agency, city forestry park, and this required a very strong coordination, communication between many stakeholders that maintain the parks. And this is how it looks like, right? We have an inadequate canal capacity. The wastewater discharge from the kitchen, from the toilet surrounding, it comes into the canal directly. And there's a lot of gray infrastructures made of concrete that trespassing the park, right? Soil condition that has been degraded, pathway, and also we have a problem on the illegal occupation on the sideways of the parks. And when we were doing the construction, within just 3-4 hours of big rain, the park is easily flooded, right? And this is showing that the capacity to retain and detain the water is not big enough currently. Yeah. Then the first thing that we want to tackle is the hydrology design, right? We have to do the research about what is the capacity before the construction, what is the original concrete canal, what is the detention area in 25 years storm event. And if you can look at this graphic, the blue color is where the water will be pond and flooded during the 25 years storm event. And it often spill into the roadside to the housing area. And we do a simulation. If we do nature-based solution, changing the canal into a natural edge, create more porosity, and this shown the data that the flooded area can be reduced and dedicated in a certain zone. So that convinced us to work with this approach, a nature-based solution to transform the canal and the entire project as much as possible use nature element. So this is the cross section. How does it look like? I think this is a typical canal that's built in many years ago. This is basically using a stone, rubble, and concrete. And if during the rain, the water will be flooded the landscape area. And we propose this kind of soil bioengineering technique using different technique depends on the area. Try to maintain the tree as much as possible, increase access, create a riparian planting, plant a lot of loose the aging using stone and riprap and so on. By doing that, as the graphic before, we can retain the water within the designated area. And this is the transformation from the canal that's separating the 2 parks avoided by people's insufficient hydraulic capacity and transform into the better hydraulic performance, but at the same time create a lot of life, attract more biodiversities while we're still maintaining most of the trees and create a lot of public space, social space around the parks. And this is the existing topography before the construction. We have this canal that is straight, going very fast to the north, and when it's not enough, they will be flooded, right? So what we create is maintain the line and create more meandering, bring in more waters comes in, create more detention space along the canals, stop point, slowing down, and detain before we discharge to the northern side. And then we activate the programs, the community programs along this blue spine, right? We create programs that fits with the landscape context, and we also connect the separated park with a meandering bridge that bring a unique identity for the park, as well as experience walking from one part to the other park smoothly, designed for the barrier-free accessibility, so people can jog around this park seamlessly. Yeah, they can do 100 round, 10 round, 1 round within the parks. So it's really about integrating the hydrology design, ecological design, and also creating a social program within the parks. The idea is really changing this dry land, flooded land, transform it into blue-green open space, create more space for people to walk into the natures, right? A lot of activity space embedded into the park, right? And in terms of construction method, this was done during COVID time pandemic, where restriction of movement of transportation of material and everything is difficult. So we decide whatever we took from the site, whatever we remove, we reuse those material as part of the construction, use it as a river embankment, gabion wall, using it as a hard pavement. So what we take out, we use back. So that cut a lot of uh, transportation costs and also reduce the carbon emissions. So as you can see, the transformation is we broke down the concrete and the stone being reused with a planted plants, yeah, riparian plants, and these plants will be strengthen the erosion, make the stabilization of the environment stronger and natural. As an example, this is how it looks like with a lot of trees with a lot of hard concrete around it. We break down the concrete. This is the image of the construction. Create an island around the trees and create a lot of contact with the wetland, and then we plant a lot of plants along the wetland, boardwalk above it, as much as possible, not touching the ground. And this space allowed for the water to increase up to the platform level, right? So transforming these gray infrastructures into the blue-green, meandering, create more life and enrich the biodiversity of the site. The trees are surveyed. It's important to survey all the trees because we need to work with the surrounding, not just cut the trees. So those trees that is good, we keep. Those trees that is damaged or decay, we transform and reuse it as part of the construction material or features. So example, the building give way to the trees. So 100% of material affected existing tree, whether it's transplant or reuse as part of the construction. So the furniture is made from what the trees that we been on the site. So there's a connectivity between the past and the future. And this also, the stone, rubble, and concrete, everything is reused. It was opened in 23rd April of 2022, almost 3 years ago. And I think until now it's still being talked around as an example of the parks that integrating the nature-based solution. It was opened by the former governor of Anies Baswedan. As you can see, everyone's still wearing mask. It was during a COVID time. And the next days, the park is occupied by a lot of people coming from all around the place, even outside Jakarta, yeah, and it becomes super crowded and so on. And moving forward, every year we receive a lot of international recognition from the President of Singapore, Australian Institute of Horticulture, right, Cell Design Award for the recognition for how is the impact of the parks for community, for the nature, for the environments, right? So these are the image of just when it was completed. It looks like the park has been there for a long time because we try to integrate the water, the greeneries as much as possible, and using a very light construction to connect the two parks, right? So it looks like the park has been there, and between the pocket of space, we create a lot of space for the community to do exercise, playground, and so on. So the bridge is immersing into the between the trees. As you walk along the trees, you don't feel like you're walking on the busy road, right? That's the power of nature. The trees just become a focal point. And this is the plaza for the activities peoples. We have a soft plaza, hard plaza for community to use. A lot of space is designed as light as possible. Even the playground with a swing, simple swing, meander along the existing eucalyptus tree. And the playground also designed to mimic natural animals in the swamp area. We have giant crocodiles and integrated into the natural setting of the existing trees. And the playground is one of the most popular space. So just next to the playground, we have this cantilever decking that is meander in between the trees, allow people to look out into the water and into the wetland. We want people to feel again the connection with the water, not avoiding the waters. And allow people to walk along the wetlands. During the rain, the water will be dynamic. It will be move up and down, depends on the weathers. And we are happy to look at how people want to come to do more exercise walking in the very busy city of Jakarta. At nighttime, Tebet become a very nice place to visit as well, coming down, and the beach become the icon with the lights that is reflect to the trees and become a popular spot for people to do a TikTok, this kind of stuff. Yeah. And what is the impact? The nature-based solution impact is really about it create a strong groundbreaking design achievement. The park that is seamlessly integrating landscape architecture and infrastructure engineering into one package, right? During the dry time, it's just a normal canal, but during the wet time, it become a detention area, a parking space for the rainwater before we discharge to the other place, right? And then this is just short video how it was transformed. The bottom one is before the construction. The top one is the same construction with the same angle during the peak stormwater time. So previously, almost the entire water is everywhere, from the street, from the road, and now it's controlled within the floodplain area. Yeah. So this is show how when we give more space for soil, for nature, for vegetation, it create more porosity. It absorbs the water. It's slowing down the runoff, right? It's not just fast flowing water. And beyond that is really about integrating plants that can attract biodiversity, such as butterfly, dragonfly, even fishes are coming into this area. And also we have seen that the less mosquito before and after the construction. So these are the some animals that we spotted, and we hope more animals will come. So come back to the impression from the first site visit. When we look at this degraded environment, and I'm sure you have seen this image everywhere, right? In India, Jakarta, and many other places, you have a lot of garbage dumping site, dirty water, and now if we do it rightly with nature-based solution, water is not a burden. It becomes a resource to be cherished and celebrated, and kids can come back play with the water again when the water is clean, clear, and attractive to be engaged. Thank you for the time. So back to you, Saria.
Thank you, Anton, for walking us through the detailed process of creating the park through the power of NBS and the final impact. I think the transformation is truly inspiring. Also, given you were able to do work on this during COVID, is also inspirational. I think the challenges that you shared leading to the development of the park would really resonate with what our cities are facing in India as well. Now, over to the questions that we have in the Q&A section. For the first question, Aarti has asked, what were the land value capture mechanisms, and were you able to capture, for example, the increase in property value of private properties around the Tibet Eco Park? Bob, would you like to answer
Okay.
this?
Thank you, sure. Yeah, this is one of creative financing to to give an impact to the surrounding of Tebet Eco Park, right? Yeah, as you know, Anton previous office close with Tebet Eco Park, Anton Siura studio close with Tebet Eco Park previously. But no, go away from Tebet Eco Park, this South Jakarta, the same district or same municipality. But this project already generate the surrounding, not just for Tobacco Park, but also Jakarta. As you know, we during weekend and holiday, yeah, very people visit this park. And then you can see when you visit our tobacco park, so we already visit our outside, right? Yeah, this you can see the surrounding, the rise of cafe and restaurant. Because I still remember when this under construction, I visit almost every day. I visit the cafe near the Tebet Eco Park, and then after I feel I have a lot of choice the cafe around the Tebet Eco Park, and then also our government so set up public transportation, as you know, low emission zone during a weekend and holiday. And then improve the connectivity with public transportation. We always advocate and bring about the progress of the Eco Park. And then we get a lot proposal from the private sector to invite our like FNB the progress with one of the because we have a planning to open public park to long operation until night. So we need to have the activate FNB, and then we also collaborate with other private sector to activate. And then so we invite to fund other project also in other area. This is our target, like Monas. In Monas is Merdeka Square in Jakarta. It is a big square in Jakarta. And then we also build our river to improve our river quality. Although that different agencies, but Anton also involved a lot of project in Jakarta and water board and also the park department. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for answering that question. Another question we have from Bharat. What were the main challenges to put the regulations in place to build the fund? And did the land developers cooperate? And did you have to wait to build the fund before implementing the park construction?
Yeah, the challenges Anton already mentioned. We need to strong leader from our governor, and then I communicate with Anton, but I not pay Anton fee of design before because we need to have the good visioning design because the visioning is we need to present to our leader and other agency. So we need collaboration with practitioner like Anton. We have a trust to make this vision. And then we also make sure other stakeholder because this project cannot do by just one agency. We need to integrate the authority, not just park department, but also water board department. And then after we get trust from the leaders, and then we looking to find the budget the budget assisted by our leader, of course. And then we make sure we negotiate with private sector also. This project good for our city, not just Tebet Eco Park neighborhood, but also Jakarta generally. Yeah, we wait for construction start because we need to have the budget. As you know, the Eco Park not focus on one private sector because when our package, our target just one private sector developers. But in the end, after the Eco Park open to public, we have a problems. We have no fence, the perimeter fence around the Tebet Eco Park, the borders, Tebet Park, for design, there is no fence. So in the end, after over capacity, we need to make strategic design. So we build the fence. So we need to find another budget from the private sector, and then after that, we need to have a new idea because the community asked me how the pet lover. We still not have a low pet park in tobacco, and then we're finding the budget again, and then also we build the sidewalk along the tobacco park, the surrounding, because this is there is no in our budget. The first developers, and yeah, these are problems, and then I'm saying we need to strong collaboration and also strong leaders. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you again for answering the question. We have two questions that relate to if this park of this size can be scaled across Jakarta, and are there any plans for that, or in other waterways in Jakarta? Is this possible to integrate this approach to a larger scale?
Anton?
Yeah, I think as Pak Bob mentioned that the project itself has been funded by collaboration with private sector, so that make it much more easier in terms of we cut a lot of administration process, yeah, and the potential to be upscale in many other kind of park with a small scale or big scale, that is really potential, because I mean any city infrastructures you always have to deal with the water issue, right? Whether stormwater or drainage, right? Whatever the scale, it can be done. So we don't see that as a problem. And natural resources is, we have a lot of natural resources in city like Indonesia that we can use. So these are actually is a perfect example on how we can utilize the peoples, the workers that working on this project. They are familiar on what to do because they used to live in village, and in village you build a canal, something like this, right? You don't use concrete because you don't have machinery. So everything is possible.
Yeah, completely agree with that. Also, could you share learnings on like the long-term sustenance of such projects? Like how should the monitoring, operation, and maintenance be approached for a project of this size?
Yeah, I think maintenance always become the issue with project in the public sectors, right? So once we hand over the projects to the maintenance departments, right? Uh, it needs, there's a lot of lesson learned from this project. Maybe Pak Bob also can agree on this, yeah. How we transfer the knowledge of what to maintain, what are the key factors in selecting the plants, if the material is broken down, what we need to replace with, right? So as a lesson learned, I think a consultant should have a scope in the maintenance period, right? Everything that is replaced has to be go through the specialist, and also people in the planning department that involved in the design process, planning process. Mostly they are not involved anymore in the maintenance. We'd be nice these people that doing the design, understand what is the project about, still involved in the maintenance. Then that can make a transition better, right? And we can keep the quality and the intents as per the design vision.
Sure. Also, there's another question that talks about if there's a biodiversity assessment done before and after, and what were the indicators if this was done would look like. Going into a little technical bit of the assessments.
Yeah. I think biodiversity assessment was not done in very detail, only for visual observation, because the previous part is just city park, right? There's not many kind of plants that encourage a lot of animals or create a habitats, right? It's just a random trees that is being planted there, urban trees. So, but what we did is actually they did is community engagement, right? Asking the peoples that has been using the parks, the city council, the residents, what they want, what is their aspiration. Then they list down what they need. They want a less smelly canal, they want a lot of trees, they want a garden, they want fishes, and so on, right? All these are tabulated into the report and hand over to the consultant team, right? And then we use that information to develop the program, the community. So everything that is designed is being catered for the community and based on their aspiration. I think community engagement is very important to do a public park project.
Yeah, yeah, because Anton mentioned before the community engagement. I just met with one community is Ayo Kataman community. Now with the peoples doing rapid assessment about the public park. Yeah, they include the Tebet Eco Park. I think this is also will have a product, and then this product can be used to make a good policy. Yeah, given biodiversity in Tebet Eco Park, especially.
So did this transformation also led to any policy changes, as you said right now? Just wanted to follow up on that.
Maybe Pak Bob, is there a policy changes after the completion of the park?
Yeah. Even sorry, my speaker is error before.
Yeah. Is that impact to the government policy after the completion of the Tebet Eco Park?
Yeah. Of course. Tebet Eco Park is always every when I do talk community with other institution. I talk about Tebet Eco Park is progression. Its progress is more important than perfection. Yeah. Tebet Eco Park as pilot project, not perfect, but we got a lot invite from the other municipality. Why Tebet Eco Park just built in South Jakarta? Why not in North Jakarta? Why not in East Jakarta? Why not Center Jakarta? This is one of perfect pilot project for our government to make a good policy. Yeah, this. Can you edit something?
Yeah, I think suddenly everyone want a similar kind of parks, right? After this, look at the success, and that create more maybe challenge to the governments, right? I think primarily it's really about. I think there's a lot of potential. We have a lot of parks, but the next question is the funding. Yeah, the funding has to be right. The people that working on the project has to be knowledgeable as well, from the consultant, government consults to the agents authority that approve the design. So there's a lot of factors to create this kind of parks, right? I think we are getting there, right? For example, parks in our capital city, Nusantara, the new capital city of Indonesia, embrace the nature-based solution already, right? And Tebet Eco Park has been used as an example how to create a park in the new cities.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good to know. We have another question. Like, how was the wastewater coming in from residential areas treated before entering the canal, and or was it diverted to a water treatment plant? Anton, would you want to answer that?
Yeah. So this wastewater or grey water is always the problem in Jakarta city because we don't have a proper sewerage system or sewer line. So there's a lot of water discharged from the residential housing go into the canal, and then from the canal go straight below the road to the parks without being filtered, right? So we cannot afford to design a water treatment plants due to the land problem. We don't have a lot of land. So what we do is, as much as possible, we divert those water with a wetland, right? So instead of straight to the canal, it diverted with a series of swales, bioswales, and a lot of plants, contact with the plants before sedimentation as well, before they enter into the big canals. And we can see there's a slight improvement, not 100% tackle the problem of the water pollutions, but it's a better improvement. And even fishes are there's a sign of life. The fishes are there in the wetland area, and dragonfly also coming.
Yeah. I want to edit. So our water board, water agency in Jakarta also build, because the Eco Park now can solve our problems, right? Because very limitation border. So we need to collaborate with other agencies. We need to the resident area. We will build a communal water plant, a water treatment plant. This is a good issue, a good policy for our Jakarta now.
I think we'll take up the last question. Given the growing popularity of the park, uh, is also now being might be overused and beyond its capacity. Are there any future plans for extension or redesign?
Yeah, maybe I can start there, Pak Bob. Overcapacity was happened for the first 2 months, right? And then the park suddenly damaged, right? All the grass is being destroyed, right? The park is not designed for that capacity. So we have to close the park and do an intense maintenance for 2 months, yeah? And then come up with a strategy how to do a crowd control. So unfortunately, the construction hoarding is not removed yet. So they become a natural barrier to protect the park. And then we come up with a strategy that we have a crowd control, how many people comes in. They have to register through an app. So there's a apps created for this park where you can register whether you want to come in the morning or afternoon. And when you come in, there's a record how many people is already in the park. So we set the capacity of 5,000 people in any time, right? Not one day. So anytime when it's reached 5,000, people have to wait. So by doing that, it filter people that come, and it gives more convenience for people inside the park, and the animals are not afraid of the thousands of people anymore, right? And slowing down, slowly, people are get used to it. So I think the capacity now is good. It's around 2,000 to 3,000 people a day. Yeah, it's a good capacity for the kind of size of the park.
Yeah, about apps, enter to the Eco Park, we need to register to apps. Yeah, we this is lesson learned from the pandemic issues. We now we have the big one platform. We call it Jaki. Jaki is Jakarta Kini. In English is Jakarta Now, because this platform not just for the enter to public park. Yeah, also you can know the information about public transportation, and then about the grocery in Jakarta and other public needs. You can this is one of public services to our citizens.
That's actually a great example of using technology to address this issue. Um, Thank you again, Anton and Bob, for sharing your valuable insights and your experiences. It's been truly inspiring to learn how nature-based solutions can transform urban spaces while also enhancing environmental and social well-being. To all of we hope this session has given you practical knowledge and inspiration to integrate nature into our urban projects. If you'd like to continue this conversation, feel free to connect with us through our website. And our next masterclass will be focusing on nature based solutions in heat action planning and will be slated for March. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us. And thank you again, Anton and Bob, for your time. Uh, yeah, thank you again. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
See you
you.
again.
Thank you,
Thank
Shara.
you.
Thank you, all participants. Thank you, Mas Anton.
Sama-sama Pak Bob. Selamat malam.
Thank you.
Ya,
Bye.
malam.
Bye.